Hello there and welcome back. With this video we are going to start exploring components in Figma. So how can we define what a component is? Well, components are elements that you can reuse across your designs. They can help you create and manage consistent designs across projects. You can create components from any layer or object that you have designed. These could be a whole range of things like buttons, icons, layouts, and more. Which means that, for example, we could create a button component so that we can reuse that button across our design project. That way we could take advantage of a component feature in Figma, and we could update the component design later just from one place, and then that new change will immediately become visible in our whole project. So there are actually two different aspects of a component. The first one is a main component, which basically defines the properties of the component, and the second one is the instance of the actual component, which basically represents just a copy of our component that we can reuse in our design. Instances of components are linked to the main component, and they receive any updates that we made to that component. So you can create a component out of any collection of objects or layers, and components can be as simple as some shapes, buttons, fields, or some more complex designs like cards or menus. Alright, so enough theory and talking. Now let's just create one small and simple basic component, right? So I'm going to now here choose a frame tool, and I'm going to now here just create one frame that will represent the actual button, right? So we can now even drag this component right here. We can apply maybe a fill color to this actual frame. There we go. Now what we can do also here, we can just now write some text, and we can say button, for example. The text will be here 18 dp, a regular style roboto. There we go. And now I'm going to hold down the shift to actually constrain this text both vertically and horizontally, right? And now if we try to resize, okay, so Control Z, we need to basically specify here the center of this auto layout. So we need to put our actual children elements on the center of this frame. And now whenever we try to increase this actual button, this is how it will look like. Okay, so for now we have a 16 dp vertical padding and 150 horizontal padding, right? So let's select this actual text and specify its alignment to be on the center. So now we have created the one simple button, right? And if you want to make a component out of this button, then you need to press this button on the top that says Create Component. The shortcut is Ctrl-Alt+K. So press that, and immediately after you press that, then you will see here a new icon for our new frame or a button. We can rename this frame to say a button. There you go, that's now our component, and those components are also marked with this purple color, right? So this is our actual component. We can access that component from this assets panel as well. There you go, that's our local component, and now we can create an instance of this component just by, for example, opening this local components panel. Or we can open up this resources tab, and from here we can find that actual local component, right? So we can just drag and drop that right here in our project. There we go. And now we can duplicate this instance of this button one more time, for example. There we go. So as you can see in this layers panel, now we can see that we have two different instances, right? So those two instances or instance of our component will have the same purple color, but this diamond shape icon will be just outlined, and it will not be filled like our master component, right? So we can modify this component only by modifying this actual master component, right? So whenever we select our actual component, then we're going to see here a new section in our design panel where we can select and search different kind of components, but also we have an option to go to the main component, right? And whenever we click that button, then we are going to go straight to our actual main component, and from there we can make some changes, right? So for example, if I select this main component or a master component, I think that we call it a main component. Let me just see. Okay, so it's main and not master. So let's, for example, say that we want to change the background color of this actual button, right? So instead of changing that background color in each and every button from here, we can just go to this main component, and from there we can modify that background color, right? So as you can see, as soon as we add the new color to our button, then that color will immediately be applied to all those instances of that same component. There you go. So now we were able to modify all our buttons inside our project only by modifying the single component. And we can of course modify some of its other properties, like for example the radius. And that change will also be applied immediately to all instances of this main component, right? So that's how it works. And of course you can access that component or those components within this resources panel or from your assets panel, right? Now what you can do, you can also detach this actual component or this instance from this main component, right? So as you can see, for now we can change some of those values, like for example this actual text. There you go. And we can also change the actual color or anything else from this same instance or component instance. There you go. So it's up to you, but once you change that, as you can see now from this menu component, if I try to change here a new color, then that new color will be applied to only those instances that haven't been changed manually by ourselves. So in this case, as you can see, this first one hasn't changed its background because we have manually modified and tampered with this instance. So if you want to change the actual instance, be sure to modify the actual main component or even create the different variant of that button. But of course, I'm going to talk about the variants in some of the next videos. For now, let's just focus on a simple components. And there is also one more thing that you can learn here. So each instance of a component can be detached, right? So we can now press right click on this instance. And we have this option that says detach instance, and the shortcut is Ctrl-Alt+B. So if I now press that, then you will see that now our actual button here will change its icon, and it will no longer represent the actual instance, and now it will just represent a simple frame. And now of course whenever we make some change to our main component, then that change will not reflect to this actual button, because that button no longer represents the actual instance of this component. Alright, so that's everything I wanted to share with you in this video about components in Figma, and in the next videos we are going to explore some of the main properties of components in Figma as well. But for now, that'll be all.